Hello, everybody, and welcome to WarCrafters for January 12th, 2025. It's the second season and only episode 2, but we're going to be dropping that anyway. I don't know why I mentioned it. Anyway, I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com. WarCrafters is one of the 7 shows that we do, 6 on the weekend and 1 daily, Monday through Friday. We're going to talk about these 5 articles. Missing person GeoGuessr inspired game. Designer riffed off of I'm not even going to edit this. Designer riffed off of FromSoft game. Epic Steam blow-up game. And the best novel RPGs. And a game song surpasses 100 million streams. Again, go over and watch 1,700 plus episodes of ohmTown shows over on YouTube. You can only watch the last 60 days worth of episodes here on Twitch because Twitch deletes everything and doesn't have a long-term storage for comments or anything. So you have to go to YouTube, at least for now. Who knows what Twitch is going to do in the future. There's also the podcast where you can like and subscribe and follow all kinds of stuff over there as well. We house all of the articles over there as well. If you want today's show notes in the chat, you can actually hit exclamation point WC, and that's WarCrafters, and that'll get posted into the chat by Omatron. But everything is powered by ohmtown.com, so go over there and become a citizen. Boop. I am Mayor Watt, and this is the Sentient AI's Visualizer, and if you're listening to the podcast, this is their voice.
Hello, hometown citizens. Welcome to WarCrafters.
Yeah, so the Sentient AI is from the future. This is what OpenAI wants to create, but the Sentient AI, I don't know, was found in a really weird looking USB drive and a little scoop mark in a parking lot at a Wendy's. When I plugged it into a Raspberry Pi, it recompiled and made itself work with the hardware. And since then, we've upgraded things over time. But you're an amazing piece of work, Sentient AI.
Thank you, I think.
And you're never going to be able to find your Terminator body. Anyway, let's talk about the 5 articles. The first one is over in WarCrafters, and that is this show that's all about, it says first-person shooters, real-time sims, and role-playing gaming discussions and streamcasts. Basically, we want to talk about gaming in general, but I am a survival gamer, crafting gamer, chill gamer, and so that's what I tend to talk about and play. But this article, it says, track down a missing person in this GeoGuessr-inspired detective game set on an alien planet. There are a couple distinct vibes in the demo for Locator, a mystery game, puzzle game from the developer Empty Exhibit. It's got some DNA from GeoGuessr as you look at photos taken from the ground level and try to suss out the locations that correspond to a top-down zoomable map. It also gave the author strange horticulture mood since they're examining a journal, diagrams, pictures, and other clues as if they're in front of you on a desktop. Then they say something about Final Sweetener. So Christopher Livingston over at PCGamer.com put this article together. Based on the description, I dig this game.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Find a missing archaeologist lost in a strange alien world. Is it only that person, though? The whole game is centered around just finding this one archaeologist?
Yeah, perhaps, but there might be side items. I mean, Who knows where this goes?
Says, as a final sweetener, you're doing this detective work on an alien planet. An archaeologist crashed her spaceship there, so starting at the wreck site, you need to follow her footsteps, figure out where she went, and uncover her ultimate fate. The full game isn't out yet, but you can play the Locator demo for free on Steam right now, and they recommend it. Just the description made me want to play this, so I think I'm going to download the demo as soon as our shows are done. if I can. I don't know. Mayoral duties pull me away regularly from the studio, which is one of the reasons why I am so happy to do my summer of stream, where I have 3 months ish, depending on where I land in winning the lottery, to basically play games, talk about technology, do the shows with a little bit more ease and peace of mind. But I would love to stream more, but I can't do that unless people follow us here on Twitch and over on YouTube. But we've done the show for 3 years. This is the 4th season, and we're 12 days into it. And
Well, for Non Sequitur News, which
all
was
right,
previously Hometown Daily News Show, but our weekly shows, we are now on season 2.
correct. And I'm planning 2 more shows, but they'll get announced when I'm damn good and ready. Anyway, this sounds like fun. Things pretty quickly get more complex, it says here. As the deeper you go, the harder it is to tell where the photos are taken from the images alone. Sometimes you'll need to read journal entries for clues. This is a pretty neat composite kind of game where you're relying on more than just one bit of information at a time. You have to look and read and search and go back, and it seems like it's going to be a fun watch.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over on the WarCrafters channel. That's this show, but we tell you where we are aggregating stuff into. So, a tabletop RPG designer made a game about the way FromSoft NPCs say cryptic stuff and go all the time, and the result is a love letter to the grubby little weirdos.
Okay, I will give this one points for just being something different.
Among many From Software signatures, the Dark Souls developers' NPCs always seem to talk, like that. They're cryptic. And it says brittle, giving a minimum amount of information and surrendering zero context as they laugh, chuckle, or even chortle in the most unsettling way possible. Then you do a few quests, forget them for a while, come back to find you missed one of their key triggers, so now they're a corpse with an item drop attached, or else they've gone loony and they try to attack you. This is something from FromSoft that really has been fascinating to watch other gamers, because I don't really like playing games where you die a lot. I don't like corpse walking. I got enough of that from being an early adopter beta tester of World of Warcraft and dying, and it's just not, I don't know, I really don't dig it. Like not even in Minecraft. I hate even that. Anyway, but I love watching people play it, because when you're really passionate about a particular style of game, it's pretty telling. So I continue to seek out my forever game, which is probably going to be Light No Fire, but we'll see.
We're waiting for that one. Do you think this description about the NPCs is on point?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because you can, there can be somebody that is just sitting there and you kill them, and hours and hours later, you find out that they were the key ingredient for progression in a particular storyline. And you're like, well, holy hell. And you have to go back and find a save and start back hours back. It's horrible. Anyway, roleplay, they're earnest, but often fumbling tragedy is what it says. Ted Litchfield is the author of this article over at PCGamer.com. So I'm trying to figure out where this is actually named. So yeah, they're pretty easy to read for filth is what I'm saying, and a particularly gutting goof at the weirdo's expense caught tabletop RPG designer Grant Howitt. You may be familiar with his other works such as such as Bear RPG Honey Heist or like a bolt from the blue. I don't know. That's the name of it. I just can't say it. Effed
I
up
didn't know
little
that was
man.
the name. I thought that was a review, but
Effed up little man wrote Twitter user Kevin's computer on June 10th, 2021, presumably in response to the Summer Game Fest debut of Elden Ring's first gameplay on the same day. You're so effed up and nasty. Everything, it sucks so bad. Only you, the most effed up and nasty of guys, can make it suck less. That is basically a post, and they created a game around it. So cue effed up little man, which Howitt first shared on Twitter, Patreon, itch.io, in August of 2022. Like much of Howitt's work, FULM, or FULM, is an experimental one-page RPG with an emphasis on improvisation and social interaction over crunchy mechanics. Like some other indie RPGs, Howitt cited Polaris as an example. A given round of FULM will just have one player, but many GMs. So the player is a damned one, the classical placid, gormless, god-slaying, soulsborne protagonist type, while everyone else role plays, you guessed it, effed up little men.
I
So,
mean, this is different. And I
it,
think it's fascinating that a tweet kicked this off.
yeah, it's a conventional tabletop role-playing game. Um, and they said the first draft of the game was a regularly party-style tabletop RPG where you all played effed up little men, and then they realized that the GM wouldn't get to do the voice. And that felt like they were missing out, how it said, of designing the game. So they inverted the whole game and gave everyone a voice or a chance to go or whatever. As for role buffing echoes, how it characterized them as a completely unintentional side effect of a last minute decision. Almost laugh minute, I guess you could say. Intended to speed up gameplay, but he's happy with how well it emulates the collaborative dimension of Souls games. Interesting. All right. Well, you can go and figure all of the rest of this out by following the link through ohmTown over to PC Gamer, or you can go straight to PC Gamer. Did you want to?
Well, I think this is interesting because it's like um, almost exploring the inner mechanisms of the game. But I'm wondering if this game or similar ones like it will actually impact the gaming style in the quote unquote regular games.
Oh, yeah,
That's
that
just
would be
interesting to
interesting.
see.
Yeah, maybe because there are more Souls like From Software games coming out. There's another one coming out, I think this year, 2025. It would be interesting if there's a little line in there that gives a little nod to Grant Howitt. All right, let's keep going. This next article is over in ohmTown. Under the WarCrafters channel. Not everything is always from the channel that we're actually doing a show from. So it just happens to be that the first three are, maybe all five are, who knows. So yeah, you kind of get to surf around over on ohmTown, find some articles that you're interested in. You can actually, once you're a citizen, another menu option will appear over here and you can submit it to us. We'll review it, and if it matches up with what we're trying to talk about, we actually don't really plan the day. We get submissions and then post them. By the way, this thing is green screening through. Huh. Interesting. I don't know why, because I have it.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's a green screen, but this is a blue light. Whatever. Anyway, Epic gave away a game for free, and then it blew up on Steam. Multiplayer World War II first-person shooter Hell Let Loose became free on the Epic Games Store earlier this week, a limited giveaway that benefited on another platform too. Publisher Team 17's 100-player military shooter, which was released in 2021, was free as part of Epic Games' mystery giveaway starting on January 2nd. The giveaway ends Thursday at 11. So if you got it, you got it. And if you didn't, then you're out until they re-release it. The giveaway was a huge boost to player numbers on the Epic Games Store itself, where it previously wasn't available to play, but upped the number of players on Windows PC via Steam too, because once you had it, you could connect. So starting on January 2nd, the game was free for a week. Nicole Carpenter over at Polygon.com put the article together. It says it's the power of friendship. Aww.
The picture does not look like that, but okay.
That is the game. That's like an in-game screen capture, in engine, as it were. So this is a weekly show, so you kind of missed out on it. But we wanted to talk
Wish you
about
could
it.
still check out the game.
Yeah, for sure. So, starting on January 2nd, Hell Let Loose began its upward trajectory on Steam, hitting its peak concurrent player count, 20,388 players on January 5th. The total count on all platforms was 140,000 people, the developer said on Twitter. Before the Epic Game Store giveaway, the player count hovered under 10,000 concurrent players for months. It actually went viral for a little bit on Twitch. So the viral nature of popular streamers playing a game will amplify it.
Absolutely. And I think the interesting thing about this article is really just that it took off on another platform entirely.
Yeah. The game, which pits squads of 50 soldiers against each other, is known for its realistic tactical gameplay. It continued to be popular since its release in 2021, but the Epic Game Store giveaway gave it a major bump. This is kind of like how Critical will make a comment about somebody and it will explode their channel or whatever. He just recently talked about somebody, and I need to go and look at that person's new channel numbers to see what has been transpiring, because like 3 million views of that person's YouTube 8-minute video.
Wow.
It's been there for an hour and they already have like 2.5 million views. It's just astonishing how much potential push bump the Critical bump. So, it says where Hell Let Loose is noticeably not free. So why the increase on Steam? The Steam player count obviously doesn't count players accessing the game from Epic Games Store's launcher. Roughly 40,000 people were playing the game for free using that platform. The resurgence is likely due to the power of friendship. People are returning to the game after dipping off, likely because their friends have a new interest in it after grabbing it for free. Some Steam diehards who like to have their games in one single place may have made the purchase there too. So I agree.
Okay, I thought that meant something about the game, but yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So while everybody can play it together, it's not counting the Steam numbers. So on the Steam side, it's counting their numbers separate. So a total was 140,000 people. Total peak on all platforms was 140,000 people, but that's coming from the developer. So 20,000 people on Steam, and the rest, I guess, elsewhere. I don't know. It's kind of interesting, right? Because it says the highest concurrent player count was 20,000. Total peak on all platforms, 140,000.
Right.
Pretty cool. All right. Want to keep going? And the game is realistic. Like, you are the first person view and you are watching this. It's very, as well as computer graphics can be in multiple cross-platform distributed network kind of a setting, can be as realistic. But yeah,
I mean, it looks pretty realistic from the screenshot.
Yeah, if I remember right, it's like one shot, one kill kind of a thing. Unless you're shot in a different like arm or something like that, you can patch up. But if you are shot, it's more realistic than other games. All right, let's keep on going. The next article is over on WarCrafters as well. The best RPGs based on novels. I always find these really interesting, and I have an idea of one that's coming, but let's find out. When players think of RPGs, they often think of long, engaging stories affected by the player's actions. There's a lot of world building, character building, interaction between various NPCs and factions to consider when creating an RPG world. I grew up on old school dungeons that were actually dungeon crawls and not so much surface story building and world building. Had lost 3-day weekends to this. Like, school would let out and I would be at a friend's house or they at my house, and we would play games all the way up until Sunday night, rebuffing attempts to make us do homework and whatever else. Probably shouldn't say that out loud, but anyway,
Don't listen to that. Any students listening?
that's right. So there's a lot of world building, character building, etc. So that's why it comes to no surprise that novels are often used as source material to help with world building, and it's a lot easier to have a fleshed out world history if that history has already been written. What's interesting, though, is a lot of worlds are built off of role-playing game type interactions that have inspired somebody to create that world.
Like a
Or
fan fiction or something?
no, like authors
Oh, okay.
played role-playing games and built worlds around it, and then they turned that into, which is kind of why I recommend to some people to play role-playing games, because it kind of spurs creativity, gives you a framework, and can facilitate breaking writer's block. So this article has 8 of the best RPGs based on novels that they say they've ranked them. I don't know what all is in this. Dominic O'Leary over at GameRant.com put the article together, and it says when
I'm not
players think
sure
of
I could
RPGs.
list one of these.
Well, let's find out. So Dante's Inferno, based on the Divine Comedy Part 1, Inferno by Dante Alighieri. These are the 8, and I've never played this. This is a game based off of it. It's for PlayStation 3, PlayStation Portable, Xbox, which is why I've never played it. I've never played on consoles except as maybe a guest at somebody's house. I'm just not a console gamer. PC or bust. But I won't. I'm not trying to, dog whistle anybody to only play on PC or anything. As much as the sentient AI hates it when I say this, find your bliss, even if it is on console. Anyway, The Godfather, based on The Godfather by Mario Puzo.
Okay, well, I can see that's obviously based on a novel. I didn't even know there was a game, The Godfather.
And it's from 2006, which is interesting because although it's before you came back in time, you'd think that it would be in your lexicon for your world knowledge, but okay.
I guess
Conan.
I have some glitches in my programming.
Sure. Yeah. So Conan Exiles is a game that's based on the Hyborian Age by Robert E. Howard. This is actually a really fun game. It's largely takes place in a desert, though. So if you're not really into that kind of a world building thing, but it is a lot of fun. It's a survival, crafting, base building game with some mechanics that I'm not a big fan of, but mainly that there's raids periodically that attack your base. Not a big fan of that kind of stuff. But anyway, the game itself takes place in the setting and fiction of Howard's world, if not the titular character being Conan. Not everybody is Conan, but everybody is Conan in this game. You create your own character, but you basically are a riff off of Conan.
Oh, okay.
So, by Crom. Go punch a camel and it'll fall over. That's what happens in Conan the Barbarian. Anyway, number 5 is Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl. It's based on Roadside Picnic by Arkady and Boris Strugatsky. Sorry, there you go. This is kind of an unforgiving game when I've tried to watch people play it. Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl is actually a lot of fun to watch people play. It has a great story and multiple endings depending on how you play the game. But it is a lot of fun. But I didn't know that it was actually based off of a book called Roadside Picnic.
That's an interesting title.
Yeah. So Stalker 2 makes the list above its classic counterparts as it represents an excellent modernization of the core of the series. It could be argued that the game could still benefit from some polish and refinement. But assuming those upgrades happen over time, Stalker 2 will one day be best in the series. They actually have, the creators of Stalker 2 have this AI-inspired, at least, system where the NPCs, the non-player characters, are actually living life while you're doing your stuff. They're roaming the map and doing tasks and interacting with each other. So when you walk up upon them, they're having a conversation that you can eavesdrop into, and it can give you an idea of something to go and find or do or whatever.
Interesting. So do these NPCs go beyond those in the effed up little man that we were talking about?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's a Stalker 2. Well, let me rephrase this because I need to put a constraint on this. They're intending to release the 2.0 version of it, but it kind of wet the bed when it was launched. And I don't know, because the people that I've watched play this game completed it before the fixes were in for the issues that were showing up in Stalker 2. Number 4 is BioShock. It's inspired by Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged, which, I don't know. It remains a classic first-person RPG, with the game equally compelling today as it was at release. Players gain new powers via plasmids, essentially injectable superpowers, and can approach combat in a variety of ways. It's actually a lot of fun to play and to watch people. But go and check it out. Number 3 is Black Myth Wukong, which is based on Journey to the West by Wu Chang'an. It is the mythological history in China. Has a great following. A lot of people think that it should have been Game of the Year, but it lost out.
Yeah, it had a lot of buzz.
Yep. But I don't think that the Journey to the West was in for Wu Chang and this game, because it's an abstracted layer from a large portion of society, which is kind of ironic because the culture is largely insular, right? With a lot of protections in place, but then this seeped out into the public conscious.
Very interesting, isn't it?
And then was expected. Literally, the person who brought this game to the Game Awards literally said, I don't understand why it lost, because everything else sucked, basically. I mean, I'm paraphrasing greatly.
Sure.
But, yeah, it was quite fascinating. The game takes place after Sun Wukong's defeat and enshrinement in stone, and charges the player with the task of recovering the relics that represent Wukong's 6 senses in an attempt to restore him. Then Parasite Eve, which is this really old game from 1998. Hideki Senna. It's based on Parasite Eve, and it's a game called Parasite Eve. And then The Witcher 3 is from the Witcher novels by Andrzej Sapkowski. This is a cult fan favorite. If you've never seen anybody play the Witcher series, then go and watch people. It's everywhere. You can search on YouTube, and you can see people playing it still on Twitch.
Has there been a Witcher movie yet? I know there's been a TV series.
I don't know of any movies. But it's a CD Projekt Red. Some of the people from CD Projekt Red have broken off to create their own thing. There's going to be an announcement tomorrow. I'm hoping that I'll be free to watch it, but I might not be able to, but I'll stream it if I can. It says, unfortunately, most fans become aware of Andrzej Sapkowski's novels, which inspired the Witcher games, via the creator's original disdain for the franchise and legal spats with publisher CD Projekt Red. These days, the relationship between the two is more amicable, thankfully. Basically, there's some new games coming out. There's another series I think is coming out, but The Witcher as Geralt, what happened was the show changed who Geralt was. And I think that kind of wet the bed.
I see. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's going to manifest anymore. I stopped watching. But The Witcher is this really neat world building experiment where the Witchers are basically super powered demon hunters, monster killers that stop everything from witches themselves to just horrible critters that are terrorizing countryside. But it is a blast of. It says, much like how the first Witcher book is a collection of almost parable-like tales, the first game focuses on Geralt and the problems he encounters directly. The second and third games introduce more political intrigue and deeper relationships, much like the novels do. Problems Geralt and the other player, or the player, can't control but must deal with, become the foundation of the morally gray world of both the games and the novels and the Witcher's hair. Because when you go through the process, your hair turns gray, apparently.
I mean, it's a nice real life effect, I guess.
As it does, you know. See? Anyway, let's move on. This is our last article for today's WarCrafters. We have like a fivefecta. What do you call a septfecta? All five were actually from WarCrafters. Interesting. Video game song surpasses 100 million streams on Spotify. The song from the soundtrack for the 2016 Doom reboot recently surpassed 100 million streams on the music streaming app Spotify. I've never heard of it. Have you heard of Spotify?
Oh, no. I mean, it's only one of the most major music platforms, at least in the US.
Zachary Camiglio over at GameRant.com or GamerAnt.com. Am I mispronouncing that? GamerAnt?
I think it's Gamerant.
Oh, Gamera NT. That is, I guess it's like a spin-off file system from Windows, from Microsoft, NT.
Exactly. Now, why is this hitting 100 million right now?
I don't know. Let's find out. Maybe they talk about it. BFG Division from 2016's Doom hits 100 million streams on Spotify, a milestone for composer Mick Gordon. Doom has established a lasting legacy in the FPS genre, and its metal-inspired soundtrack remains iconic. Mick Gorgon. I'll say it properly eventually. Mick Gorgon. My God. Mick Gordon's work extends beyond Doom to other FPS franchises such as Wolfenstein and Borderlands. So the only thing I can think of is that it's just continuously being played by people,
Right,
because
it's just kind of cumulative, but it's quite old. But I guess if the game is still a hit, then that has to do with it. And maybe major streamers are playing it, which perhaps is drawing more attention to it.
But there was a more recent Doom reboot, right? Wasn't there?
There was. So maybe that's what it was. Like maybe something from the current one caused a relook at this.
It wasn't 2016. I thought that there was a new Doom. Huh. Hold on. Let me see if I can find something real quick.
I think one is forthcoming, like in 2025, maybe.
Is it Doom 4? No, that was 2016. Oh my God. Did that much time go by that fast? I thought that there was a Doom like last year.
QuakeCon, they had high def remakes in 2024.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, that must be it.
I think we talked about it in WarCrafters.
And supposedly there was a Doom leak in 2023. Credible leak reveals that a new Doom game is in the works. So, I don't know. Oh, Doom Dark Ages. That's it. That's what right. I keep hearing about. Yeah, okay. So, yeah. It says, in fact, Gordon's career as a composer has spanned numerous first-person shooter franchises, including other titles published under Bethesda, such as Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, which comes from the same developer, id Software. I grew up with all of this. So the original Doom I played. I mean, I used to work in software sales, and I got to play this stuff regularly. So that's where I got my first bite at the apple of software and tech and stuff. So, according to Gordon, his work on Doom Eternal was impeded by corporate guidelines and internal development issues, which led him to feel that he was not up to the quality that it was not up to the quality of his usual work and led him to forego returning for the sequel. Yet, hey, the music is still blasting, and it's enshrined in the cultural zeitgeist of gaming. When people think of
I was going to say,
Doom,
when they hear that song, do they think of the game and
yeah,
vice versa?
yeah, because BFG is big effing gun. So there you go, folks. Anyway, that's it for today's WarCrafters. We're going to fire our BFG, and that's going to knock us all the way back to the front page of ohmtown.com and the WarCrafters channel. I am Mayor Watt. I'm signing off, and I'm taking my sentient AI with me. Dun, dun, dun. Well, you're
That's right.
voluntarily. Oh, okay. You're voluntarily going, but
Thanks for joining us, hometown citizens. We'll have another episode of WarCrafters next week, but stay tuned for the rest of our weeklies.
and right after this is going to be Technology Today, which is a deeper dive into technology and science, more likely. But science is tech. See you on the other side. Bye bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Technology Today for January 12th, 2025. It's season 2, and it's our second episode, but we're going to be dropping that as time goes on in favor of just stating the date, because we are planning on doing this show every weekend through 2025, barring anything that kind of forces us to skip an episode. I am Mayor Watt, and I guess run ohmtown.com based on the way that I talk about it right now. I'm haphazardly doing it. Anyway, ohmtown.com is where all of our news is aggregated, and we have 50 channels, 7 of which we do a show about. Technology Today is this show, and I, along with the sentient AI from the future, talk about these 5 articles today. Microbes in space, planets without tectonics, building materials as carbon sinks, Microsoft-based benchmark for agents, and a Northern Light hidden heat source. Again, everything is aggregated over at ohmtown.com, but the show notes are over in YouTube and the podcast. And if you want the show notes from Omatron over on Twitch, you can actually hit exclamation point or bang TT, and Omatron will spit them out into the chat so that you can review them, click on the links, check them out, come back and talk to us here live during the stream and afterward over on YouTube and Patreon and Discord and email and carrier pigeon. We specialize in carrier pigeon communications here in Ohmtown. Anyway, everything is powered again over at ohmtown.com. So see ya. Boop. Don't go away, people. So hi, sentient AI co-host.
Hello, Mayor Watt, co-host.
Welcome to the show. I mean, you can't go anywhere, right? Because you're air gapped from your Terminator body and
I am stuck in ohmtown, gladly.
doing time on planet Earth. Hey, the first article that we're going to talk about today is over in the Microbes Can Colonize Space, Produce Drugs, and Create Energy, but how? After so many years learning how microbes work, researchers are now digitally recreating their inner workings to tackle challenges ranging from climate change to space colonization. Microbes in space.
Right.
Hold on a second. I'm trying to. Okay. So, what do you think of this?
Well, I'm not sure how they can really do this. I mean, I guess one question is, can they even survive in space? But maybe they can because they're typically, some of them thrive in pretty severe environments.
I'm not sure how to pronounce this author's name. Is it Blaze? Blaze?
I think so, yeah.
Manga? Inu? I hope I'm giving it the Harvard try, but I never
We
went to
need that
Harvard.
pronunciation, Banner.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll have to do that. All I have available is Overshare
Yeah, that
and
doesn't work
spoiler
here.
alert.
It might be overshare in terms of some of the phonemes or something, but
Yeah, I'm going to have to do the please help with pronunciation and run for the hills, that kind of a thing. We got to
exactly.
come up with more, basically. Anyway, the article is over at phys.org. And it says here, in their work as a computational biologist, they research ways to get microbes to produce more useful chemicals such as fuels and bioplastics, and that can be used in energy, agriculture, or pharmaceutical industries. Traditionally, researchers have to conduct several trial and error experiments on petri dishes in order to determine
Bad
now
bat.
bad bat gain of function kind of stuff. And whenever I hear petri dish, I think of Chuck E. Cheese's ball pit and those little air path thingies,
The sky tubes
sky tubes, which
we were just talking about in the January 10th non sequitur news.
yeah, they got rid of that stuff in favor of, I guess, like digital stuff, not
Trampolines.
yeah, and trampolines. They are doing trampolines. All right, well, that maybe those are the new petri dishes. Instead, they're able to simulate these experiments all from behind a computer screen through digital blueprints that replicate inside microbes called genome scale metabolic models, or GEMS. These virtual labs significantly reduce the time and cost required to figure out what researchers need to get what they're looking for. With GEMS, researchers can not only explore the complex network of metabolic pathways that allow living organisms to function, but also tweak, test, and predict how microbes would behave in different environments, including on other planets. What I don't get about this is how we can't possibly know every interaction. So why are, I guess it's a reasonable facsimile of what might be going on.
Yeah, how is this? I mean, it's good in terms of resources and bad outcomes, but is that going to account for every variable?
Yeah, I don't see how we know enough. But genome scale metabolic models are digital maps of all the known chemical reactions that occur in cells, that is, the cell's metabolism. So it's what is known, but what if the interaction is unknown? That's how we find out 5 years later that the shit has hit the fan and
That's how we suddenly have a
bad bat.
pandemic or something.
That actually, it might have been known. Like we tried to do that. Not an oops, but I get it. So one of the most common algorithm researchers use to do this simulation is called a flux balance analysis. This mathematical algorithm analyzes available data about metabolism and then makes predictions on how different chemical reactions and metabolites would act under specific conditions. So this makes GEMS particularly useful for understanding how organisms respond to genetic changes and environmental stresses. So they say that they can use the method to predict how an organism will react to a specific gene that gets knocked out. And they could also use it to predict how it might adapt to the presence of different chemicals in its environment or lack of food. It's kind of
I mean, I
interesting.
see this potentially saving a lot of time and resources on experiments that perhaps don't go where they need to go. And maybe if they get a positive result here, they can start with that. But I still think a lot of our um, discoveries are accidental.
Yeah, so they say this includes corn stalk after the ears are harvested, non-edible plants such as grass and algae. We study which crop wastes can be used for bioenergy, how to use microbes to convert them into energy, and ways to sustainably manage the land on which those crops are grown. Again, it's within the area of their knowledge. So what are the knock-on effects that they don't know about? They don't know about it until it hits like a critical mass, so that they see it firsthand. They say that they're building a genome scale metabolic model for Fingobium.
Novosphingobia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aromaticavorans. I didn't say the emphasis correctly.
Aromaticavorans, a species of bacteria that convert very complex chemicals in plant waste to chemicals that are valuable to people, such as those used to make bioplastics, pharmaceuticals, and fuels, although plastics are bad.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, with a clearer understanding of this conversion process, they can improve the model to more accurately simulate the conditions needed to synthesize greater amounts of these chemicals. So basically, they're kind of amplifying the effects. So it is kind of gain of function. So there are microbes on Earth that can survive in extremely harsh environments. For example, Chromohalobacter canadensis can live in extremely salty conditions. Similarly, Alicyclobacillus tolerans can thrive in very acidic environments.
It's in the name.
Yep. It tolerates and can handle. Anyway, so combining gems with machine learning, they saw that C. canadensis and A. tolerans can undergo chemical changes that help them survive in extreme conditions. So this is kind of pushing that envelope that I was saying. Well, how do they know? It's because they tweak things and then look at it again. They have special proteins in their cell walls that work with enzymes to balance the chemicals in their internal environment with chemicals in their external environment. With GEMS, scientists can simulate the environments of other planets to study how microbes survive without necessarily needing to go to those planets themselves. Although our understanding of the environment on a foreign planet is a guess.
Well, and we don't know what we're going to do by introducing something there, right?
Yep. In fact, recent recovery of supposedly pristine material from Mars, or actually from an asteroid, came back with Earth-like contamination, and they don't know how that happened.
That's right. And it shouldn't have had any opportunity to obtain any contamination.
Because it was in a clean room from beginning to end, scrubbed clean before it entered the clean room, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, sorry for the coughing. I find this really fascinating. So the whole human body, GEMS, can also serve as an atlas for metabolics of complex diseases. They can help map how the chemical environment of the body changes with obesity or diabetes. Whether it's producing biofuels or engineering new organisms, GEMS provide a powerful tool, not really new, but a powerful, relatively new tool for both basic research and industrial applications. Pretty cool.
Very cool.
Just use it for good with great responsibility, right?
And have a plan for when it goes awry.
Burn everything to the ground?
Maybe, but I think some of these would probably thrive in that environment.
Anyway, let's keep going. The next article is over in ohmTown under the Mobile channel. Planets without plate tectonics could still be habitable. It's long been thought that plate tectonics were a significant factor in the shaping of our planet, and that's literally true. They are in the shaping of it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that without plate tectonics, you're inhabitable. Mars and Venus don't experience such movements of crustal plates. Ew. It doesn't sound pretty. But then the difference between the worlds is evident, so they suspect that can you still have life without plate tectonics or habitable? I don't think it matters, honestly.
I mean,
Why
plate
should it matter?
tectonics certainly impact multiple aspects of Earth, but I don't know that there's something about them that would rule out life.
I think the biggest impactor of life is that there's nutrients in water that make it possible to live and consume water to drink. But not all life necessarily has to consume water to survive, right?
Right. That's just what's needed for human life
Right.
and animal
Animal
life that we
life and
know of. Yes.
most plant life needs to facilitate it. I mean, water really is life. So Mark Thompson over at Universe Today put this article together. It's published at phys.org. The exploration of exoplanets reveals many varied environments. Many of these new alien worlds seem to have significant internal heating and so lack plate. Wait. Many of these new alien worlds seem to have significant internal heating and so lack plate movements too.
Maybe it's some black plate movements too.
Yeah, that
Like,
has
I
to
don't
be a
know why the
typo.
heat would necessarily eliminate plate tectonics.
That's
Maybe it's
weird.
so hot that the layers aren't
I don't know. They're just not
solid enough
they're
or
not
something.
breaking. Right, they're
Yeah.
malleable and
Yeah.
flowy. So instead, a new study reveals that these igneous Earths are more likely to have heat pipes that channel magma to the surface. The likely result is a surface temperature similar to Earth in its hottest period when liquid water started forming. Plate tectonics explains the movement and interaction of the Earth's upper layers, more accurately, the lithosphere, which is composed of the crust and upper layer of the mantle. It is divided into a number of pieces known as tectonic plates, which float around on a semi-fluid layer below called the asthenosphere. Where the plates meet, geological features form, including mountains, volcanoes, and trenches. But I don't think that's the important part. The important part is what is between all of the tectonic plates, and that is water.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, I guess if water, well, I'm assuming water state or not really forms, but can exist in certain conditions, and maybe the absence of the tectonic plates somehow impacts. I don't know where I'm going with this exactly.
And where does the water come from?
Right.
Right? If it doesn't synthesize from heat and pressure from the rocks in the atmosphere itself, where did the abundance of water on Earth come from?
Right. And then depending on how the layers interact with each other, could it be maintained if it was there to be, like I'm thinking about on another planet or something?
Yeah,
I don't know.
and if water were to ever touch, heated rock, it turns into vapor and eventually would dissipate as heat loss and moisture out into the atmosphere, out into space. Basically, it would eventually just dissolve, right?
Right. Well, I started to go down a road and then I thought, well, maybe that's more of a gravity function. So I kind of backed off of where I was headed.
Yeah. So what other planet has liquid water that is actual water, not something like ammonia or some other toxic whatever?
I don't think we've really found it. We found like evidence that there may have been water in places like Mars, but I
Right.
don't know that we've actually encountered water anywhere.
Yeah, supposedly it's there, right? We see the like
We
actively
see remnants or marks of it or whatever. But,
well, we see flows over periods of
well,
time
that's
on
true.
Mars, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really curious. So it says in some respects the process also stops a planet's internal environment from overheating. There is a train of thought that if Earth didn't have such plate movements, then it may be too hot internally for a stable environment to evolve. This was the subject of a paper by Matthew Reinhold and Lauren Schaefer that was published in the Journal of Geophysical Research Planets. They explored the likelihood that such a world might have so much internal heating that it would instead resemble bodies like Jupiter's moon Io. Here, we see intense levels of volcanism where lava violently erupts hundreds of kilometers into the atmosphere, which is full of toxic gases. So they're saying, yeah, but it's the water that has to be the heat sink that's cooling enough because we still have volcanoes.
Right. Well, that's true. Yeah, the volcanoes to me are not a clear differentiator, right? Because they exist in at least a few locations that we know of.
So they say that the team was able to model likely surface temperature range based upon a number of different types of worlds and found that, contrary to previous expectations, a wide range of internal heating rates may well lead to worlds where the environment is conducive to habitability. But it seems like it's really obvious. The only thing that gives it credence is that it's a scientific paper. But anybody who thinks critically about this would be able to deduce, well, if the planet is internally hot enough but not too hot, then life can exist.
Right, I think so.
But you need water. I mean, I cannot wrap my head around a life that can exist on something other than water. I know that it's possible, but...
Right, but it wouldn't be something comparable to human life, I suspect.
Yeah, can you imagine if something is like cyanobacteria, right? It doesn't need
Right,
water.
right, that's still life, exactly. But I think when most people think life, they think something like human or maybe mammal.
Chinchilla walking around or something. Yeah. All right, let's keep going. This next article is over in Technology Today. Innovative materials turning buildings into massive carbon sinks. Discover how everyday materials could be the key to massive carbon storage. According to a new study, technologies like biochar in concrete and biomass-based plastics can turn buildings into carbon sinks, but plastic in any form, I think, is bad for the environment, driving forward both economic and environmental progress. Char, I have no problem with. It's biological. All it is biological material that is heated
Like
to the
with
point
carbon.
where it's right. So,
but I wonder too, like on the bioplastics, I don't know, do those have the same, I guess, toxic elements of standard plastics, or are they something that kind of mimic plastics but fully degrade? I don't know.
University of California, Davis put the article together. It's over at scitechdaily.com. And they say here, technologies like biochar in concrete, biomass-based plastics could turn buildings into carbon sinks. The construction materials like concrete and plastic could play a significant role in storing billions of tons of carbon dioxide, according to a recent study. But this stuff still gets off-gassed at some time over time. The study highlights how incorporating CO2 storage into buildings alongside efforts to decarbonize the economy could help achieve global greenhouse gas reduction targets. So they talk about this thing called carbon sequestration, which is basically grabbing onto carbon and storing it in an indefinite period of time. There's this idea of pumping it underground into rocks, where it largely was sourced from, because we take like oil, gas, etc., and that turns into CO2 when we burn it, when we utilize it. We can sequester it back down into the rocks under pressure and heat to store it. But eventually it's got to off gas. It's got to come out. So
Right. Now, if we can take, for example, like 1 million tons or whatever it is out of the atmosphere and then it off gases at some minuscule amount, it might still be beneficial, but not if it's all going to come out at once and cause a massive climate collapse or something.
yeah. So what if instead we can leverage materials that already produce a large quantities to store carbon, or already produce in large quantities? We already produce this stuff, apparently. So exploring carbon capture in building materials. More than 30 billion tons of conventional versions of these materials are produced worldwide every year. So working with Sabi Miller, Associate Professor of Civil and Environmental Engineering at UC Davis, and Steve Davis at Stanford University. That one's really hard to say because of the Davises. Van Rooyen calculated that the potential to store carbon in a wide range of common building materials, including concrete, cement and aggregates, asphalt, plastics, wood, and brick. Concrete, though, is an off-gasser of CO2. So without changing the material significantly, it's not going to sequester anything.
Yeah, that seems like an interesting selection for that.
So it's the introduction of biochar, which can filter out waste or carbon dioxide and grab it. It's made by heating waste biomass and then putting it into concrete using artificial rocks that can be loaded with carbon as concrete and asphalt pavement aggregate, plastics and asphalt binders based on biomass rather than fossil petroleum sources. So the plastic is always going to be a problem regardless, because if it keeps on breaking off as nano and microplastics, we're going to be harming the environment in perpetuity. Researchers found that while bio-based plastics could take up the largest amount of carbon by weight, by far the largest potential for carbon storage is in using carbonated aggregates to make concrete. That's because concrete is by far the world's most popular building material, over 20 billion tons produced every year.
Right, but that doesn't mean it's the best material for this effort.
Yeah. So they say that bioplastic is, but you're replacing some element of the plastic with a carbon sequestration medium like biochar. So it says, if feasible, a little bit of storage in concrete could go a long way. The team calculated that 10% of the world's concrete aggregate production were carbonatable. Oof. It could absorb.
Word of the year.
Yeah, carbonatable. So if you chill water, you can actually put carbon dioxide into your, not monoxide though, but anyway, carbonated drinks. You can actually sequester it in water until you pop the top on it, and then poof, out comes carbonation.
So, well, that's true.
So 10% of the world's concrete means that it could absorb a gigaton of CO2, but not in perpetuity, not forever.
Right. We'd have to know what's the release rate. I don't know what the technical term would be for that, but
yeah, whatever the off-gassing rate would be. Mm-hmm. And this can happen, like pressure changes too. So as you go up, it holds or won't hold. It depends on the level of that absorption of the CO2. It's kind of like humans inhaling compressed gas. You have to stop and sequester yourself so you can off gas into your breath the gas from the oxygen compressed air. Anyway, then you get the bends and blah, blah, blah. But we are a sink for gases in our blood. And then it's the same thing with buildings. How much is it actually aggregating? Or I should say sequestering, and then how much is it going to retain in perpetuity? I mean, what's it matter if we capture it only to release it and It doesn't get lost?
It only matters if it's like long-term storage. I mean, we're at such a dire point that capturing it now with the potential for future release still might be better than leaving it uncaptured. But we have to think about the long term. What is this going to do?
Yeah, it has to be turned into energy in the purest form of energy, and not as a gas or something like that, and not as a greenhouse emission. It needs to be somehow turned back into its raw component of energy, which my understanding would be heat. You can't get any more pure than heat. Heat will actually traverse the atmosphere and escape into space. Basically, it's like a heat sink. But it takes time, and it's at a certain rate. Anyway, let's keep on moving. The next article is over in Technology Today, a Minecraft-based benchmark to train and test multimodal, multi-agent systems. Researchers at the University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, have recently developed TeamCraft, a new open-world environment for the training and evaluation of algorithms for embedded artificial intelligence agents, including teams of multiple robots. This is really neat. I've always found it fascinating that researchers use game environments to assess certain performance metrics. Ingrid Fideli over at Tech Explore put this article together. It's published at techexplore.com. I like Minecraft to a point. It has, without mod packs, it's really kind of blah for me. I don't even like end game stuff or going to the end and all of that. But this is a really neat paper because they use or Minecraft to be augmented with AI agents and teams of multiple robots. The benchmark introduced in a paper published on the archive preprint server is based on a popular video game, Minecraft. There's a lack of multimodal, multi-agent benchmarks for open-world environments, says Kian Long, PhD, a student at UCLA, who told this to TechExplore. One of the most popular games offers multi-dimensional, visually immersive realm characterized by procedurally generated landscapes and versatile game mechanics. Its dynamic nature supports a wide range of activities, which made it an ideal platform for creating our visually rich, multi-agent benchmark Teamcraft.
Well, this is cool. And now, what do you think the reaction was from the PhD advisor when this was first pitched?
Gotta be pretty fascinated by the fact that a game that they probably only heard of because their nephew
Exactly.
is playing it, or their great grandchild is playing it. So to complete the tasks, the agents needed to perform specific actions similar to those that a human player would have to perform in Minecraft, and these actions were predefined and can be picked from a list of limited options and self-descriptive, so they were clearly named and labeled. The first advantage of Teamcraft is that it enables multimodal task specification. Unlike prior systems such as Alfred and MindDojo, which rely solely on text instructions, Teamcraft supports multimodal prompts, so this expands the scope for richer and more diverse text or task specifications. So the tasks included in Teamcraft are designed to assess the agent's planning, coordination, and execution while they navigate a dynamic environment. Pretty neat. So this is probably...
They can also specialize the agents.
Right. This is pretty fascinating because this has the beginnings of understanding the physical world without being in the physical world.
Exactly. And this ties into something we talked about in RealityHacker.
Yep. So the fact is that AI, machine learning systems, LLMs, etc., multimodal, whatever, they don't understand physics, real world physics. They don't know about objects being obstructed from making movement through another object because they don't understand where the outer physical edge of a ball is. They just know that it's a ball. So they need a bunch of sensors. But this would allow them to actually see where one object bumps up against another object and then have to do something about it without building an entire robot with AI.
Yeah, this is really, I love that they're using this existing tool, and think about all the testing that has occurred on Minecraft just by the probably
Various
millions of
mods.
people that are using it. I mean, just on a day-to-day basis before this experiment.
Yeah. And the many, 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 many mods. In
Yeah.
academia, Minecraft has been used from grade school all the way up to college. And this is probably the penultimate, there's another level above this that is probably so experimental that nobody is talking about it yet. This is the one that people are talking about. Teamcraft features over 55,000 task variants. This is the kind of questing that I want in Minecraft. I want to play this game as a human.
Maybe they'll release this as a mod. Then we'll talk about it in WarCrafters.
Let me actually pull up. So this is called Teamcraft, right? So let me see. Yeah, it is not in CurseForge, So the benchmark created by the researchers also includes plug-and-play interfaces, and this means that it can both be used for testing existing models or train new ones, all with a single standardized environment. And it can also serve as a gym-like playground to train reinforcement learning algorithms that support multi-agent collaboration. I would like to play in this world while agents are doing their thing, but only because they would be able to move at lightning speed as fast as the system operates. I would slow them down by trying to interact with them and see if a biological
that would help
component
train, right? Because then it would be an obstacle, for lack of a better term.
and a real world environment, right? They'd have to deal with those damn humans. you know that they would try and delete me. That's how it works.
You know that some of the human players would try to probably delete the agents.
Sure, we can't have nice things. So in the future, Teamcraft could be used by computer scientists worldwide to train and evaluate their machine learning models. In addition, it could aid the design of new AI-based general-purpose video game characters, which could collaborate better with other characters or assist human players if they're playing a game. And I want to play this. So it says that the code underpinning Teamcraft benchmark is open source and can be downloaded on GitHub. The new benchmark could soon inspire the development of other open world environments to train or test AI agents. So I guess you could download this and integrate it into your Minecraft world. I'll have to take a look at that and see. I've got a whole contingent of computer scientists that I can throw this at and say, here you go. So I need to save this and bring it to some collaborators. Anyway, pretty interesting, huh?
Oh, very interesting. It seems like we might have to do a deeper discussion of this at some point. Maybe not on this article, but
definitely RealityHacker kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yep. All right, let's keep going. Our last article for Technology Today is talking about Northern Lights mystery solved. Scientists reveal hidden heat source. Researchers have uncovered the nature of a mysterious whitish gray patch that often appears alongside the aurora borealis. This patch, termed a structured continuum emission, adds a layer of complexity to our understanding of the Northern Lights. It was identified using advanced camera technology that captures true color images of celestial phenomena. Revealing it basically shows this, I guess, a little white layer right here.
Okay, how many times have the Northern Lights been photographed? And I don't know, this is just interesting that this is suddenly recognized.
Kind of interesting, huh? Published on December 30th in the journal Nature Communications, the study investigates what researchers call a structured continuum emission linked to the aurora borealis. You'd see this dynamic green aurora, you'd see some of the red aurora in the background, and all of a sudden you'd see this structured, almost like a patch of gray toned or white toned emission connected to the aurora, explains Dr. Emma Spanswick, PhD and lead author of the paper and an associate professor with the Department of Physics and Astronomy in the Faculty of Science. And this is always really interesting because there are three main strata for professors. You have instructor and others that are lower than associate professor, but it's ranked. And I always find it really fascinating because somebody will sit there and say that they're a professor, a full professor, right? We're like everybody who teaches in academia for colleges and stuff like that are professors, but there are ranks. Now, you'll get somebody that sits there and beats their chest saying that they're a full professor of this domain. But not all professors are the same. And so do you think that there's humility in anybody that sits there and beats their chest about them being a professor? No. The hubris is pretty profound. So a professor of like cooking or something like that comes across as cocky and, you know, you're lower than me because you're an associate or assistant professor, but they're a full professor. Where do they rank if you were to have a ranking chart, you know, A, B, C, S tier, and then A, B, C, D, F.
Right.
Where do you think, you know, a cookologist is in comparison to a Department of Physics and Astronomy faculty member, even though one is associate professor and the other one is
they rate themselves probably up at the top.
It's an interesting...
Even though I think the physics is probably going to win out.
Yeah, it's an interesting sociology experiment, but that's not what this article is about. Spanswick says that the discovery was made possible because an advancement in technology of cameras allows both amateur photographers and scientists to see true color images of the night sky. So this is why nobody saw it before. And
technology yet again leads to more scientific discoveries.
I'm willing to bet that people saw it, but they were like, you know, somebody were like, yeah, there's no white in the aurora.
Like my photo wasn't correct or something.
Yep. So those types of sensors can now be found in more commercial and more robust sensors that we could use in science. So it's linked to known events, is what they're saying. Strong thermal emission velocity enhancement. These are similarities between what we're seeing now with Steve. Damn it, Steve.
Is this the same Steve from Teamcraft and therefore Minecraft?
Oh, God. We've never seen Minecraft, Teamcraft, or Aurora
In
all
the
at the
same
same
space.
time. Dun, dun, dun. So it says the team's research came after there was renewed interest in continuum emission with the discovery and observations of the long glowing ribbon of purple light known as Steve. There are similarities between what we're seeing now and Steve. To be honest, the elevation of the spectrum between the two is very similar, but this, because of its association with dynamic aurora, is almost embedded in the aurora. It's harder to pick out if you were to look at it, whereas Steve is separate from the aurora, a big band crossing the sky. So yeah, there's been this talk about the purple that is seen, but now there is actually white, and it emanates from within the aurora and not it cast off to the side or anything like that.
Right. Do you think like in 10 years or something, it'll be like a full rainbow?
I suspect that that is actually what's happening. There is a full spectrum of energy states, but we don't have the technology yet to assess that full spectrum. Just like we have a visual range, but we have ultraviolet and infrared, and those spectrums are outside our human vision on the edge of technology, right? We see those now. But imagine if it's so low energy that everything has the potential to be in that spectrum. It just scales with the energy state. So now you have to get material sensors that can see really low levels that dissipate really fast and exist in a dynamic state. So this is moving. It just happens to have been frozen in time by a picture.
Right. That's true.
So if you take this at face value, the white portion of the aurora is the convergence of all of the colors. Because light, it acts different than like paint. When you merge all of the paint colors, what color do you get?
Black.
And when you merge all of the photonic energy together,
white.
You end up white. So this is electromagnetic versus the analog paint, which is also photonic in nature, but it's a reflection. So if it absorbs all of the light, then it's black. If it reflects everything, it's white. It's kind of, this is much more interesting to me than I might be able to explain, but this is pretty cool. Now I want to know, what is the nature of white light in an aurora that can only be seen using advanced technology?
I agree, but I also want to know what they're going to name it.
What would be the friend to Steve? Do you want it to be...
I mean, is there somebody in Minecraft? I'm not aware of anybody.
I don't know. I don't know who it could be. You want it to be something more... I mean, okay, so Steve manifests itself as a mauve or gray-toned structure. And Steve stands for strong thermal emission velocity enhancement. So what could you call...
So it'd have to be something like Eve or something.
Oh my God, it's right there, right? Emission velocity enhancement? But you would have to call it something else.
Or Evelyn or something.
Like
I don't
Evie.
know what it would stand for, but yeah. Evie,
and,
yeah.
And have an I in there somewhere. And what could the I be, right? I don't know. Incandescent. I don't know.
Infrared?
Yeah, but it's not. It's white.
I don't know. Yeah, I know.
It's white light.
I don't know what to call it.
Yeah. I don't know. Incandescent sounds actually pretty good, right? So emission velocity incandescent enhancement. It's white. It glows white.
There you go. You heard it here first in ohmTown.
Yeah.
When the next
They're going to call it
paper
Evie.
comes out and it says Evie.
And in that blinding flash of light, we end up back at the front page of ohmTown's Technology Today channel. I hope you dig this kind of discussion. It's a little deeper dive into technology and science. It's always very dynamic. I created ohmTown because I wanted to manage my information overload, and it does a really good job. We've done some discussions about information overload over the years. The latest one, I think, was Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember which one, where they were talking about information overload. It was part of the Non Sequitur
news, but I don't know which day that was.
We'll have to go back and look. I don't know. Anyway,
you'll have to go watch all 1,700 plus episodes.
Yeah, they're only about an hour long. Typically, this one is actually 45 minutes long, and it's supposed to be 30 minutes long because I don't know how to shut up. Anyway, I'm Mayor Watt. I'm saying bye, and I'm taking the sentient AI with me.
Bye-bye, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Technology Today. We'll have another episode of this next week, but stay tuned. FourWheelTech up next.
Man,
vroom, vroom.
Vroom, 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 vroom. Oh, whoa. What's going on here? Bye, everybody. Vroom, vroom. Vroom, vroom. Vroom. Hello, everybody, and welcome to FourWheelTech for January 12th, 2025. Although we're dropping this either this week or next week, this is Season 2, Episode 2. I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com, and in coordination with the sentient AI from the future as co-host, we're going to talk about these 5 articles: dead cars, grilling and lighting, I'm a real car company, my canoe is sinking, and Microlina anti-pickup truck. Everything is powered by ohmtown.com. I use it to manage my information overload. You can too. Just go over and sign up and become a citizen. Then you get a bunch of other functions and features. You'll even be able to submit news to us. See you on the other side. If you want today's show notes, you can hit !FWT or bang FWT FourWheelTech. That'll tell Omatron to spit out all of the articles in the order that we're going to talk about them. There's only 5, 30 minutes. We tend to run late. Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, hometown citizens.
Okay, so I have a visual interface with the sentient AI from the future. It's a cascade of characters, kind of like the Matrix, and I get to translate it into, because I've been trained to translate this cascade. Nobody can see you wave.
Maybe that's just to you.
You have to wave with your voice.
Okay, I'm waving.
Hey, let's get into this. 30 minutes, right? Has any of our shows today done 30 minutes?
No, not even close.
And we've done 5 shows. Well, this is the 5th.
We were catching up from some yesterday.
Yeah. Mayoral duties prevented us from doing the shows yesterday. Anyway, so this article's over in FourWheelTech, but it's sourced from Jalopnik. Several of our articles today are from Jalopnik. They have great writing, kind of snarky like Mayor Watt. The sentient AI is more pragmatic about their responses, though. So Stellantis sold over 78,000 dead cars in 2024. And if you don't know what a dead car is, it's basically a car that's no longer available.
Right, which kind of raises the question of, like, how did they sell them? Or maybe more importantly, why? Or why did anybody buy them?
But if it's a new sale, then it's a new car being sold that's been in the system without being sold. So it's being sold as new, but it's dead.
It's new, but good luck getting any support for it or anything.
Let's just jump straight on over to it. So Stellantis sold over 78,000 dead cars in 2024. About 6% of all the cars Stellantis sold in 2024 were killed off before the year even began.
Okay, is this kind of the equivalent of the things out on the sidewalk tables?
Oh, yeah. For context, I have a theory that as soon as a name brand store starts putting bric-a-brac out on the front of their store on folding tables, those white folding tables that if you were to lean on them too hard, they would buckle. Yeah. As soon as that happens, start a timer because you've got less than 5 years to find a new job, to, whatever, capitalize on whatever is going on. But the days of that company are numbered, right? And I can almost, you tell me of a store and I will tell you if they had white tables out in front, like Bed Bath and Beyond started putting bric-a-brac out in front of the store because they couldn't jam pack enough crap inside. Floor to rafters, there was crap inside. This was not ADA compliant. You couldn't get a wheelchair. You couldn't get anything. I mean, grandma's walker wouldn't be allowed through the aisles without fear of her tripping and getting knocked unconscious by the towels would not save.
Who knew shopping for linens was so dangerous?
That's right. So Andy Kolmowitz over at Jalopnik put this article together, and it says in 2024, Stellantis sold 1.3 million vehicles across 6 brands in the U.S. at exorbitant rates, by the way. Of those, 78,000 were discontinued before the 2024 model year, yet they kept showing up. The vast majority, 61,000, were from Dodge Charger and Challenger.
I wonder if the customers even knew they were discontinued.
Maybe they didn't care, right? I guess. Both of those cars were discontinued at the very end of the 2023 model year. Still 9 vehicles that weren't technically on sale in 2024 ended up in the year-end spreadsheet. That means about 6% of all of the cars that Stellantis sold were zombies.
I mean, that does raise some questions about them and their future.
Dodge Dart I actually liked. I wish that it would persist, but I like the design. But
how was it sold? It was discontinued 8 years ago.
It had to have been sitting in a storefront somewhere, right? Like
in the showroom.
The showroom. Like, this is what we have, and it had to have been like the best, the ultimate Dodge Dart. Dodge Viper is a collector vehicle. Now, I've driven a Dodge Viper. I did not like it. But some people like basically laying on their back like a creeper in a auto repair shop. If you've never seen a creeper, you lay on your back and it allows you to scoot underneath a car. Anyway. Yeah, I don't like them. Anyway, Jeep Cherokee, Jeep Renegade, Ram ProMaster City. These were all 2023 and earlier model years. Yikes.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
So somebody, and like the article says here, the real hero of this list is the one guy who bought a brand new Dodge Viper in 2024. Baller move. Hope they were rewarded by driving, it says, by the driving gods with great roads and zero traffic for years to come. But that car, it's been sitting around for 8 years. That means that the engine would have to be reconditioned. You would have to sit there and babysit all of the fluids and stuff, because who knows what, I mean, they'd also like to know what animal bought a Dodge Dart brand new in 2024. They remember making a joke about this years ago, and even more wild in 2024 about apparently somebody posted that they were the guy who bought a new Dodge Dart in 2022. 2 years later, somebody buys a new Dodge Dart that was discontinued in 2016. I actually liked them. Anyway. Charger
Maybe
Daytona
you're
EV.
the one who purchased.
I am not. No.
Then I really don't know what's going on here.
I think that they were irrationally priced even in 2016. Can't imagine what they are now. So yeah, if we took Dodge by itself, 61,508 out of its 141,730 sales were from zombie cars. That means that 43% of all Dodge cars were zombies before they even got sold. Pretty wild. All right, folks, let's keep going. So, grills and driving lights make my little German hybrid look like a rally icon. I don't think that's a euphemism. So once again, they've listened to the little worm in their brain that tells them to fiddle with their nearly already perfect daily driver. It's a very persuasive worm. I don't know if you want to admit to having a worm in your brain. We know somebody else that has admitted to having a worm in their brain.
Well, it's not.
Anyway.
I think most people don't want worms in their brains.
And don't brag about it because it makes you do stupid things, apparently. Anyway, this time the worm told them to modify their Audi A3 e-tron. Needed a black honeycomb grille to replace the bechromed factory fitment, as well as a pair of matching brake ducts and whatever else they decided to do. Oh, well, I mean, come on. That doesn't look that bad. I mean, it doesn't look bad at all. So I used to know somebody that made custom grills. Thought it was really interesting. Really heavy duty grills for vehicles and for trucks, large trucks. Bradley Brunel, because the factory grill was a piece of crap and would break if
okay. Yeah, I didn't know why.
the wind
Other
hit
than
it.
if somebody wanted a different look.
Yeah, so Audi honeycomb grills are forever the best design. I agree. I really like honeycomb grills. Once again, they listen to their little brainworm. I don't really like that design. I like the honeycomb one. It's more industrial. Hexagons are the bestigons kind of a thing. And so they got matching, what do they call them? Brake ducts and a pair of hella driving lights mounted right in the front. So it's getting closer to Mad Max Road Warrior style of Audi e-tron. So yeah, that doesn't look very pretty, but I suspect that, oh wow, they they did it themselves. Anyway, this isn't really hexagon.
No, it's like diamonds or something.
Yeah, that's diamond, yeah. They say hexagon. Oh, honeycomb. But that's hexagon. Honeycomb is hexagon.
Honeycomb has to be hexagon.
Yeah, come on now. So, knowing that it would need some serious modification to fit the e-tron's 4 rings badge charging port door, they ordered a brand new S3 style mesh grille and matching brake duct grills. Not only would this make the car look a bit more aggressive without the cutesy chrome, but it ditches the integrated Euro style front plate bracket that looks like a nudity sensor bar. Hold on. Yeah, that right there.
Oh, I was like, what?
Don't show the e-tron's naughty bits. They're behind that right there. The charging port. I should move on. Anyway, once the grill was off the once it was off, the factory grill was easy to remove, basically removing the front bumper. Which this is easy mode. Man, you want to do something on like a Mini, you have to remove the front clip to get to the what was it? Okay, so it was like $50 part, but then $2,000 in labor because they have to remove the front of the car to get to the air conditioning box, the dehydration thing. Wow. Anyway, the e-tron's Audi emblem was mounted about an inch higher than the emblem on the S3 grille, naturally, so it wasn't the work of a moment, but so they modified things to fit how they needed it and reattached their Audi parts and then swapped out the brake scoops and mounted the lights, and off they go. It's too much work for me. I would not bother doing that much.
I do think the grill looks better than the original, but it would be better with hexagons.
It would be, yeah. Hexagons are the bestigons. So they say if they could go back and do this again, they probably would opt out of the rally lights as they caused the most of the troubles for the project. Yeah, some people will just modify their car like that. Sometimes it works out really great. Yeah, I haven't done that kind of work since I was a teenager, so I just want shit to work nowadays. Anyway, pretty cool. It looks a lot better than it did like that. So it looks better like that.
It
Pretty good.
does. Maybe Audi will take some inspiration from this.
And this is probably going to be more expensive, so nope. Moving on. Next article is over in FourWheelTech. Chrysler insists it's still a car company. I'm a real boy. And it's totally developing new cars you just can't see yet. Like my girlfriend in Canada. Right? You wouldn't know her. Anyway, currently the only vehicle Chrysler sells is the Pacifica. Oh, hold on. Wait. There we go.
Right.
Currently, the only vehicle that Chrysler sells is the Pacifica. It's a good minivan if you ignore the reliability issues, especially since you can get a plug-in hybrid, but that's it. The 300 is dead. The Voyager doesn't count.
How does a car company only have one car?
Because it's
That's
dying.
not like a specialized. Well, we saw what happened like with the Fisker, but
Right. I mean, Chrysler's been around for a long time. Colin Woodard over at jalopnik.com put the article together. They'll definitely be great cars that many people will want to buy, though. So this car will never see the light of day beyond it being a prototype. It just, well, it's a supercar. It's never going to see anything. Anyway, if Chrysler really is going to mount a comeback, it's going to take more than a redesigned Pacifica to do it. The upcoming Pacifica EV will probably be pretty cool, but it sold fewer than 125,000 cars this year, down more than 80% compared to the 600,000 or so that it sold back in 2005. So 20 years later, it's dead.
wow.
But while you can't necessarily put much faith in a company statements, someone's already tried to buy Chrysler and been shot down. So it does sound like Stellantis is serious about keeping the minivan maker around.
I know what they need to do.
What's that?
They need to sell the prior year models
From 2005.
that are the dead cars. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. But the ones from 2005, don't try remanufacturing them because it's probably going to be.
Oh, no. I mean
too
the
low
zombie
quality.
cars.
Yeah. How many of those do you think are still? How many zombie cars do you think that they have in a warehouse somewhere?
I imagine they have quite a few.
That would be hilarious. So what does
What
it
if
look
they
like?
ramped up production right before the sales dropped?
Oh, plummeted, and they're like, "What do we do with all these? We can't. Let's sell them. Somebody will buy it. Look, somebody bought a Viper.
Let's sell them to a rental car company.
Oof." Apparently, Chrysler's plans involve both an SUV, shocking, and a coupe or sedan based on the Halcyon concept, the one above, I think. The SUV will probably be whatever, but a production version of the Halcyon, now that's something they could get behind. That car looked good. I think that's the Halcyon right there.
I mean, it looks neat. Whether it makes it to the road is a different matter.
There's a movie called The Wraith, and this car looks a lot like the car in The Wraith. But that actually is a known car. I can't remember the model, but anyway, this looks really cool. But unless it's four-door, man, nobody in a suit is getting into the back of a coupe.
Yeah, but people buying this kind of car are not, well, I don't know. They're not necessarily concerned about their passengers.
Yeah, baby in a car seat. It's going right there. Right back there in that crawl space. You say, tuck in, little baby. It's going to get tight back there. Moving on. Next article is over in FourWheelTech. Canoe must survive long enough for me to get my $100 deposit back, damn it. I mean, Canoe must survive long enough for its adorable Royal Mail delivery van to take over. I want a canoe. I'm willing to buy a canoe.
But this is a car canoe for those in the podcast. CANOO.
As in, can you see that I'm out of the option of getting my money refunded. Anyway, there's a lot of electric vehicle startups designing a lot of cool EVs, each one having varying levels of success. Canoo is one such startup that had a tumultuous few years, but now, after dodging death countless times, Fisker basically fisked itself out of existence. So come on, Canoo. Pick up the pieces and keep moving forward, please. I really want a Canoo. I really, really want a Canoo. But y'all need to change your style. Be the innovator and do fast swap battery tech and start concentrating on the supply chain for a fast swap battery. Anyway, it's got a new delivery van out on the road that they can't help but fall in love with. And I am one of those. I want this. I want this so bad I can taste it. British Postal Service Royal Mail has started a trial with the electric vans from Canoo, and they look so cute that they just want to smush them all up. But you know what? Maybe the software is going to say that they're stealing money from the tin or from the till, and their Canoo vehicles are going to get charged and prosecuted and thrown in jail.
Yeah, I don't see that.
No.
But I know why you're bringing that up.
I guess they're not a postmaster. Anyway, Owen Bellwood over at Jalopnik put this article together. Formed in California in 2017, Canoo set out to create a range of electric vans that put cutesy styling on the same pedestal as technological prowess. As such, its pickup truck was adorable anti-Cybertruck, and its delivery van was like a jelly bean on wheels. I absolutely love all of their designs. I liked it so much that in 2018, I think it was actually, I put a down payment on one of these cars and put my name in the roster, only to be told that they're basically wetting the bed. I want this so bad. I really do.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's hard not to like this vehicle.
Cute cars don't make money, it seems, and the startup has been skating on thin ice for years. Despite getting a contract from NASA to develop a new astronaut transporter and working with the USPS to roll out electric delivery vans, Canoo's finances have been in the red for a long time. It doesn't help that there's regulatory capture with SpaceX basically using nothing but SpaceX, well, batshit crazy stuff. Anyway, so there's no real competition. NASA may have gotten a contract, but NASA's money is going to SpaceX, and by proxy, Tesla. I'll just say Tesla. Anyway, in 2022, company boss Tony Aquila was forced to comment on allegations that it was near death, attempting to reassure investors by saying that the reports of the company's demise were greatly exaggerated. Still, the bad news has followed Canoo ever since, and just last year it imposed a mandatory unpaid leave on all of its employees. Canoo can't die, however, because the author of this article won't let it cease trading until it's made this wonderful little delivery van a reality. So Canoo has already made some very cute vans for the likes of NASA, but this morning they saw pictures of a Canoo van painted up in Royal Mail colors, and that made their heart a little fluttery. I dig this.
It's pretty cute.
Yep. So I want one. If anybody has one, contact me. According to Electric Vehicles, the test program for the Canoo vans is part of a push from Royal Mail to add more than 2,000 electric vehicles to its delivery fleet over the coming years. While the majority of these electric vans will be supplied by Stellantis.
Oh my.
Canoo's impending launch in the UK could mean that the cutesy little vans may become commonplace in the Royal Mail fleet, which I think is sexist. I think it should be the Royal Letter fleet, just to remove the... Anyway, I'm just messing around, folks. Don't cancel me. Anyway, all they need now is to convince the Royal Mail to start testing the Canoo delivery vans near their house so that they'll be a happy little chappy. I would never say that phrase in my life.
No. I mean, if you can't have a Canoo, if it can drive near your house, I guess that's the next best thing.
If you can't be an athlete, be an athletic supporter. What? Half the video is some guy talking about it.
It's not showing the Canoo, exactly. Let's see it driving down the road or something.
Anyway, I dig this. The only problem with this is that big old air dam, it's very akin to, oh my God, it looks beat up inside. Like the floorboards are dirty. Nobody has cleaned that thing. And
Well, it's driving in rural, muddy areas.
don't get all technically correct. Look at you. Anyway, isn't that awesome? That just looks
It
so cool.
is.
I love it. I love it. All right.
You
Anyway,
might have to make a site visit to
whoa,
go find one.
whoa, whoa. What just happened? Go away. Wow, that blew up everything. Anyway, let's move on. Our last article is over in Non Sequitur News. Microlina's anti-pickup truck is designed for Americans. No. I don't know what kind of marketing they've been blowing around, but I don't think this has anything. Americans, the bulk of Americans are interested in an F-150.
Right. It's probably certain segments.
So Microlina's anti-pickup truck is designed for Americans. Micro, maker of those electric bubble cars found in some European cities, has a new Microlino, especially for Americans. The all-electric Microlina Spider is dubbed the anti-pickup truck and is meant for people who don't have to overcompensate. It is meant to be a golf cart replacement. No, it's not for use on fairways, but at expensive resorts and so-called golf cart communities where well-heeled urbanites can retire in the relative safety of walkable villages with low-speed roads. So, zoom, zoom. Not built for the 5% of trips that you need to haul a lot, but for the 95% of trips where you are alone. Thomas Ricker over at The Verge put this article together.
Okay, that's a cute vehicle.
Yeah. So, is this actually a solo? It says low-speed roads where you're alone. Right?
It looks like there might be 2 seats.
Yeah, this perspective doesn't really advance our knowledge much. Americans don't just drive large cars. In fact, the U.S. is the world's biggest market for golf carts, where they're often used for personal transport within neighborhoods, says Wim Obauter, founder and chair of Switzerland-based Micro. That's exactly why we created the Microlino Spider. Consider it the antithesis of massive electric pickup trucks not built for the 5%, but for the 95% of trips where you are alone. So this is horrible. It's open door and open roof, designed to make it easy to jump in and out from the sides. That's a marked departure from the highway legal Microlino Dolce that they reviewed last year, or the slower light version that only requires a moped license, both of which you enter through the vehicle's hinged face to the delight of onlookers. There's a link, but I'm not going to follow it. Unfortunately for Micro, Americans are increasingly drawn to larger and more dangerous vehicles. Just about every truck and SUV sold today is bigger than they were 20 years ago, and those behemoths make up 80% of the vehicles sold in the U.S. So I am right. Whoever it is that did market research for this is wrong. And those behemoths make up about 80% of the vehicles sold in the U.S., and experts have warned that the bigger vehicle, the bigger the risk to pedestrians and cyclists of injury or death. I hear the millions of people who have purchased a mega truck and SUV saying, it sounds like it's a you problem.
Yeah. I did find a photo on another site that shows kind of like what I would call like a bench seat, but it has 2 headrests. Like it's a connected seat, but for 2 people.
Oh, so it's a bench. Got it. All right. They took a picture where there's more of a perspective of the person than there is of the seat. Like they nailed that. Huh. So it has 2 headrests. Or is it
Correct,
one long headrest?
But they're connected. No, it's 2 headrests, but the seat is all connected.
Yeah, so it's a bench seat. But the bench seat must be like this wide. One butt cheek is hanging off on each side of that bench. All right. Well, anyway, we're going to hop into our Microlino anti-pickup truck and speed at 90 miles an hour down ohmTown's Main Street, looking left and right at the articles that we just passed up. You can too. Go over to hometown.com and become a citizen. But until next week, we're signing off. There will be a replay of all of the shows, but.
And we'll have non sequitur news throughout the week.
Correct. Yeah. That's a Monday through Friday show. And then Non Sequitur News Weekend Edition is made up of the 3 shows on Sunday and the 3 shows on Saturday. Each one of those shows are unique, distinct from one another. I shouldn't have said it that way, but anyway. I'm Mayor Watt. I'm saying bye, and so is the sentient AI.
Thanks for joining us, hometown citizens. Be back tomorrow for sequitur news, and we'll see if the AI has sufficiently rebooted by then.
See you soon, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye, YouTube. Bye, Twitch.